See what happens here. Battle of Canadians, like you were saying. And the top right-hand side for the super team, it is Trigger.
And his opponent, spotting down in the bottom left. She is the Queen of Blades, the Queen of Side Blades, the Slayer of Bomber. It is Scarlett.
Bomber. I know it. I took a game from Maru once. Can you introduce me as the Slayer of Maru once?
And spawning in on the casting desk. He's a handsome lad. You know him for his fashion sense, but it's so much more than that. He's got an amazing record. He would win Group D. It is Cats.
Whoa, I would win Group D. So Scarlett's going to get away with a cool hatchery here, Steadfast. And yeah, a little bit late of a scout for Trigger. I never beat Trigger on the ladder personally, but he doesn't feel invincible in this matchup, I have to say. Whereas Scarlett looks so good in this matchup that as much as we have been hyping Trigger, I think he's definitely the clear underdog. I think bookies have him at like 4-1 as well. So, you know, like Trigger definitely is a hot prospect, but we're talking about one of the best Circs in the world for the last like 10 years or something.
Yeah, she's been, I mean, the very first tournament that she showed up at, she was turning heads instantly. Her creep spread was ridiculous. That's what everyone knows her for. Obviously, since then, she's really retooled her play to become a much more clever player. She's since joined Shopify Rebellion, which was another power spike in and of itself, getting access to one of your favorite, well, one of both of our favorite players in the whole wide world, Lambo, the big Zerg brain of EU.
The Overmind.
The Overmind. He should be called the Overmind, shouldn't he?
Definitely could make it work. Negotiable.
Negotiable. The funniest part of that is that it's not negotiable for the players. As commentators, we can kind of dictate which way that goes for the community, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, to a good degree, for sure. I mean, nicknames have to come from somewhere, and yeah, it's casters that usually perpetuate the nicknames, but sometimes, you know, they stick, sometimes they don't. Like, yeah, it's kind of interesting how that works. Sometimes you just say something enough times that it sticks, and other times, you know, you think you come up with something cool and funny, and it just doesn't. So you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, there was one nickname that I remember Caster was trying to make stick for Clem, which was the Little Corporal. He was trying to
the Little
Corporal
imagery. See, I wouldn't see that sticking. And don't even tell me who said that, because I don't want to.
No, it's fine. I won't say who it was. But I was obviously trying to evoke the Napoleon imagery with him being a French player. But the thing is, Clem is not known for being short, which is where that Little Corporal nickname came from. By the way, we should talk about this game a little bit. What do you think of opening up with Disruptor drops?
I think it's cute. I think it is definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be a little bit different. It could catch Scarlett off guard. But at the same time, reaction time is going to be good for Scarlett. She is the type of player that will check all the boxes, probably set up an overlord perimeter, etc. But even after that, I mean, this is a cool build. It's kind of like an NA special of sorts. Pili Pili likes to do something like this. Trigger is very good at doing something like this. So I think what we're going to see most likely is a Disruptor drop into a timing later on, like Blink plus a Colossus or something of the likes.
I feel like when you normally do this, you don't get the Nexus this quick, right? This feels super fast. This feels like it's a Stargate opener.
It almost does. I was talking to Lambo actually a little bit about how Protoss players are not for the most part exploiting just how greedy they can be, and this build, this opening certainly feels like that. Like, it's ever since the Queens got nerfed off of creep, it's difficult for the Cirque to kind of like say, okay, I'm gonna be aggressive. It's doable, but you have to kind of gamble to a good degree, right? Like that the Protoss players are making Void Rays, or that they're not going to have enough on the other side. Because once you start making units and you're not making drones, and if you don't know what your opponent will have, if you don't know if they can or won't hold, it becomes very difficult. And Queens were very good, very cost efficient with that transfuse. You know, you can bank them up, and they serve that double purpose defensively, and then they can turn it into offense against target builds. No longer the case. So that multi-purpose unit is no longer in play. You don't get value out of making extra queens, but you still need them defensively. It's much harder for Stark these days to be aggressive. So I kind of like it from Trigger that he's taking a calculated risk where he basically has no units other than these two adepts, and still he's managing to go for the harassment. So never mind the two base timing that I was proposing. This is him playing for the long run.
Yeah, and I like it. Oh, not going to be able to get that one queen. Good quick reaction time from Scarlett, pulling that back. And that is partially thanks to the fact that we talked about in the intro, that creep spread is already ridiculous. She is prioritizing it so much more. And we're seeing Zerg players in response to, Protoss players now being forced to play ground. They're going a lot more ham on creep. And Protoss players haven't made the adjustment yet of denying creep as much as they need to, I think. Good split from Scarlett on the queens, making sure she only loses one instead of two. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long time until most Protoss players realize that they need to clear creep as actively as Terrans do in TVZ.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is an observer out here, so eventually I think when the creep starts going past the midway of the map, or even now, it seems like Trigger's posturing to clear that creep, so he's definitely gonna look to push it back, and that's good news for him. This disruptor shot will connect and finish the queen from earlier. That was the first one that took one shot. Now the stalkers are definitely exposed. Will force a little bit of a recall from Trigger, and that is part of the problem with not opening Stargate. If you have a Void Ray, you can kind of clear that creep, and you are not at any risk, right? Like if you see the queens are showing up, then you just back away. But against the Lynx, clearing creep becomes a lot more difficult because they are the fastest unit in the game. So if you get surrounded, there's no escaping for ground units. You better make sure that you have enough.
Yeah, that is 100% true. We are going to see an aggressive push coming out, by the way, during all of this. Something really important to note, Trigger just recalled those stalkers to save 3 or 4 of them, which means that he does not have a recall available to save this War Prism and those disruptors, or even actually, for this matter, the entire army, if Scarlett takes a good position and get a big surround.
Yeah, this is beautiful though from Trigger because he is keeping the activity out on the map, and like we said, he took a very greedy third. So if we look at the worker count right now, he's actually just 1 behind, which is a good position to be. Oh, so much better than last reaction. So what's actually terrible, and now Scarlett can chase off of creep. This is not enough stalkers, and the disruptors are not here. Mute on the other side have already picked up 5 workers. So okay, disruptor shots should become available pretty soon here, but Trigger's preoccupied a little bit in his main base as well. Disruptors should be dropping in the next second or two, but again, Trigger having to look elsewhere here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to, was the Muta showing up. Oh, that's a big disruptor shot on those lanes. Oh, but he leaves the disruptor hanging. That's unfortunate. That could have actually been a bit of a salvage, kind of, if he saves both of those disruptors. As it is, we actually see the army values, or army supplies and army value for that matter, are very similar. But oh my God, Scarlett's, she's already on 80 drones. She adds on 9 more. That is very, very late game focused right here.
Yeah, and it is later than she would have liked for it to be. The position was good for Trigger leading up to that attack because they were actually dead even in workers, right? So if he could have just postured and continued to force out units like he was doing up until that point, he would be in a fantastic position, but instead he takes damage. Scarlett stabilizes. She knows she's safe, so she's now droning comfortably.
Yeah, she's feeling so comfortable in this game. There are another 4 probes going down to the mutas, it looks like. Bane speed is already done, which means that if Trigger pushes and he pushes onto creep, barring Scarlett making some huge blunders with her, everything into a bunch of disruptor shots, she's just gonna take a massive engagement. So Trigger wisely backs away, but now Scarlett is on the warpath moving forward. There's a Colossus here, which is an oh wow, she almost got the soul read there.
Yeah, does get a couple of Ravagers there with the next disruptor shot. The Warpins are not good enough here. Actually allow a lot of the Banelings to still go into the mineral line. The shift clicks not doing Scarlett any favors, but it will be good enough to get 13 workers at least. Could have been worse, but that's still pretty good. This base is also exposed, will no doubt get cancelled here, maybe even killed if Scarlett chooses to detonate those Banelings in time. The Vials are going to connect and kill 1 Stalker, bruise a couple of more as well. So yeah, but very bad position for Trigger now. Scarlett going into Brute Lords.
Yeah, she is in such a good position right now. She's got pretty firm control of this game. It's not over yet, but it is definitely feeling really, really good for Scarlett. And the Broodlords are the way to make sure that Trigger doesn't have an opportunity to win this game if it goes a little bit longer than this.
Yeah, because he only has ground army pretty much. The Ling Rambai is not going to help his case. They're going to get inside, and unfortunately no block there. And as he moves back in, the rest of the army of Scarlett is going to chase behind him, make sure that there's not a fourth being taken, which is the only way that he could possibly maybe stabilize and Trigger in a world of trouble. So right now, Steadfast, if we're going to find a win condition, I guess it's get maxed out and just have a much bigger army than your opponent. But he finds a few Ravagers that might entice him to continue to push.
Yeah, he does have a lot more army value right now. And Scarlett, she's not up to those Broodlords yet. Now, the Vipers are a really, really nice bridging tool from Scarlett to make sure she gets up to those Broodlords safely. But I think if Trigger had pushed, that was probably his best opportunity to win this game. Was if he didn't hesitate at all, doesn't split off the War Prism, and just goes.
I don't know, because there's only one Colossus. There's a trillion circlings here. This Disruptor shot is going to connect, but the fourth will be cancelled again. I don't think the Trigger can win with a push right now, but I don't know if, I don't know if turning around does him any favors either, because he still has to drop that fourth. So now I think you just have to max out if you're Trigger, right? Because when you max out, at least you know you're behind in workers, your army supply should be bigger, and that might be your best bet.
He's going to go for Storm, which is kind of interesting. Advancing his tech while he does this, and maybe he's saying, you know what, I don't want to push until +3 is done anyways. Oh, the wall going to get busted here. Disruptor will get yoinked in order to get the interruption there. We see a Disruptor on the right side from way off screen. Lings and Banelings trying to come on in. Nice force fields here from Trigger, but is it enough? Well, at least to survive, yes, but not to keep those probes alive. 23 of them going down to the Banelings. Still very successful for Scarlett, I think.
Mega Giga, yeah. I mean, it's 82 workers to 36. Scarlett's just gonna kill Highlands with his Banelings. No better use for them at this point. So yeah, I mean, she's looking incredible right now. Full control of this game. Trigger nowhere near maxed. So even if he pushes out with this army, it is very unlikely that he will find victory. Scarlett just has to not engage and just, cancel this base, lose a base if she must, and then re-engage when she has finished spending her money.
Yeah, I am surprised she never built Corruptors here. It does mean that the tech in her army is not as robust and not as powerful as it could be. Storm, if Trigger hits the right storms, this could still go against Scarlett here.
Yeah, difficult to imagine a world in which it does. There is already a lot of Banelings. There's 3k in the bank and 1000 gas as well. So Scarlett can just take a trade, not even necessarily a good trade here, and then reset, remax, regroup, and again she could concede 2 bases, still then re-engage the army and still win pretty comfortably.
Yeah. I was looking for a way for it to happen, and I was like, oh man, she actually doesn't have much larva. Maybe there's a chance. And then I realized she'd already built 48 Zerglings, and she's basically remaxed again.
She is powerful.
Yeah, she is way ahead right now. I mean, it still was, a decent fight for Trigger, but it wasn't anywhere near good enough. It needed to be one of those situations where it was a snowball situation.
Yeah, I mean, this one is so... Yeah, those Banelings are not going to connect onto any probes. If they're going to bruise a bunch of Stalkers, but it doesn't really matter. The Lings are here. Scarlett now comfortable enough to attack off of creep. And she could, I think, give up this army and still just be in a dominant position. A really tough game for Trigger, especially just because it's been downhill for so long at this point, right? So he's trying to be resilient, but in the end, he's going to have to tap out. And Scarlett kind of crushing that one.
Yeah, that was a really strong showing from minute 1 from Scarlett. She looked dominant from the get-go, and I think part of the reasoning was that creep went so uncontested, and at every point it felt like Scarlett was comfortable, like pretty much start to finish.
Yeah, I like the position for Trigger very early on when he pushed out with the Blink Stalkers, the two disruptors, and then there was the one disruptor shot that I think if he didn't, like if he, I don't know if he rerouted it or if he, like there was a possible huge connection, but it barely missed, and I don't think that Scarlett did much to dodge it. So if that landed, then Scarlett I think can't chase back and doesn't do that damage, but the way that the timing worked out for Scarlett there was so that she won on two fronts because she was doing damage with the Muta, and in doing damage with the Muta, she was also chasing with attack move the army of Trigger, and Trigger wanted to micro that army if he was going to take effective trades, right? Like wanted to drop the disruptors again, wanted to get good disruptor shots, good blink as he retreated, etc. That wasn't possible because he was taking probe damage in his base. So unfortunate. Up until that point, I thought they're even in workers. Trigger's forcing out a ton of units that Scarlett doesn't want to make right now. Maybe he has a good shot, and it kind of just fall apart, and a little bit sad. But Trigger, I mean, he can do it. He can do it. We believe still, Dave.
Oh, we absolutely do. Yeah, we certainly believe in Trigger. There's still a decent shot, and even though it wasn't the game we were necessarily looking for from him, it still showed some potential.
Yeah.
As we have spawning down in the bottom right for the Shopify Rebellion, she is Scarlett.
And in the top left-hand side, playing for the super team, it is Trigger.
Now, yeah, I think I want to see maybe a Stargate opener in game number 2. I haven't seen Trigger's approach to the new hero style of PvZ. Mm-hmm. He's very good mechanically, so I think he can pull it off. I just don't know how practiced he is with it. Like if it's his bread and butter, or if it's maybe a little bit more of the disruptor drop type, kind of anachronistic styles.
Anachronistic?
Mm-hmm.
What's that
kinda
word? That's a cool word.
So kind of just like off on their own, I guess, unique styles.
Cool. I love it. Anachronistic. I'll try to remember.
Behemoth uses that all the time.
Yeah, Behemoth has really cool words, I gotta say.
His words are top tier.
Top tier words, yeah.
My words are like B+ tier, maybe.
Yeah, like sometimes I pick up on words that sound cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard anachronistic. I try to drop words in context that will make like a ton of sense. Anachronistic, I feel like from what you said, I maybe could have picked up on it. So I think it was good usage. I gotta write that one down.
My favorite word actually is lexicon, because it makes you sound so smart, and it's literally just words, like it's your library of words. Yeah.
Lexicon.
Yeah. And it kind of works with StarCraft because it sounds, I don't know, somehow it makes me think of the word Nexus. So when I think lexicon,
there's an X in both, yeah.
Well, exactly. And then you expand your lexicon. So you're expanding with a Nexus, it's for some reason it makes my brain produce the good chemicals.
I like it. Well, let's see if Trigger can expand his
arsenal.
The arsenal, yeah. He is gonna go for the Stargate, so he is heeding your advice here, and that is good. I think that's the more solid Protoss opening these days, and he will be safe against most things. It is a very short map as well, and Scarlett, we know, is not one to shy from aggression if she sees the opportunity.
Certainly not. No, she will absolutely go for it if she sees the chance. I do like this, by the way, out of Trigger. He opens the same way that he did in game number 1, with the Warp Gate first and the Stalker as the first unit, and then goes for the Stargate behind it. I think these kind of moves are underutilized from Protoss. I think you need to be a little more tricky in order to take advantage of Zerg players using limited information to make reads.
Yeah, and this is beautiful. I mean, if we look at what Trigger's doing, even his rally is avoiding this little pillar. That's where the Overlord normally sits. So he's very well accounting for this, and for just like you're pointing out to, is he has done some conditioning Okay, he actually opts to take the Overlord down instead of crossing the map and potentially looking for a surprise with the Oracle. But yeah, he definitely did some conditioning here, right? Like where the Oracle isn't necessarily expected, and that is the kind of surprise unit that can all of a sudden kill a bunch of drones if your opponent's not ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I would have liked to have seen an attempt, but he, I guess decided it was one of those things where he was hoping Scarlett would commit the Overlord, and then he could get the free kill, and then maybe the Oracle sneak across the map. It doesn't work out, but it's totally fine. We do have to mention though, Trigger got an extremely quick third Nexus at 3:28, which is 20 seconds earlier than normal. He loves these kind of moves, and he will get in before
no! He's survived. He did.
Oh wow!
That's huge. I thought that was going to be much better for Trigger, though. Two of those drones, if we look at the triangle third, there's, they're kind of tagged. Those should be dead, really, in a better universe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Instead, we see, just two drones going down. Cats and myself suffering mild coronary events right there as the Oracle dropped to 7 HP. Single hit would have taken it out, of course.
Yeah, with like 4 different queens clicked on it. You know that they're clicked on it, so they're gonna get there as fast as possible. It's just an issue of if they find the angle and if Trigger finds the angle. Yeah, this time around Scarlett unable to, but yeah, that's good news for Trigger because we want a third game here. We wanna see his power. He's gonna find a queen here, but not really syncing up all of the attacks. Good micro, however, to save the weakened Oracle, and one more drone will be taken for his trouble. So this is not too bad at all.
Yeah, it's nice. Anytime you can get a little bit of damage done and you don't lose those Oracles, that's great. It's phenomenal. Scarlett, by the way, rebuilding queen. She's going up to 7 queens right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see an attempted push off this? There's no way, possible. Right?
Yeah, I think it's possible on this map, but yeah, I mean, it's contingent upon the queen, the creep actually continuing to push on forward. So Trigger does a good job of containing that creep. We talked about it with Stargate openings, a lot easier, even with Oracles, but with a Void Ray as well, a lot easier to clear this creep and do so at low risk. So the beautiful thing, I think, about Trigger's position so far is what you mentioned earlier. He has been so greedy getting here, right? Like that Nexus was so early that he was actually keeping up in workers up until just now, where Scarlett got her next batch. Yeah, that's a little sad.
Yeah, we got to talk about Scarlett's worker count, though. She is also at a ludicrous amount of workers for this stage of the game. 84 drones before the 7-minute mark is a very strong economy. However, she is supply blocked at the moment.
Yeah.
While Trigger got his blink finished as well as +1 weapons.
Yeah, she made like 8 overlords at once, 4 of which have already popped up. And now Trigger applying pressure. This is very similar feels to the previous game, and I quite like this, but unfortunately he wasn't able to hit at a point where it would have stalled Scarlett's economy significantly. So at this point, Scarlett is just going to be very happy to continue to just spam out units. She already made all the drones that she's going to need, and Trigger has to recognize that this army can get caught pretty hard if those links make it out. If Scarlett gets us around, all she has to do is force a blink once, and then the game could end very suddenly.
Yeah, it's big Corrosive Biles landing right there. It's really disappointing, by the way, that there's still a creep tumor there. Trigger has controlled this area for a very long time, so that creep should not be there at this point. Oh,
lag in all caps.
A little bit of lag coming down. It is worth noting, by the way. Oh,
he's moving very fast.
Oh yeah, he was gunning it out of there. He's got places to go. Like, imagine we just see him appear on Scarlett's webcam, just start pulling wires out of her setup.
That would be cool. What is that in his shelves? Is it books, or it has to be books, right? Like,
I have to assume it's many leather-bound books. Yes.
Yeah.
He's consuming knowledge.
Oh, that's incredible.
It is 11 gateways, by the way, for Trigger.
I love that.
Really big commitment on 3 bases.
That's huge. Scarlett said no like here. I love it.
I didn't notice that. That's such a cheeky little message. Oh, cute little zoom in on the Corrosive Bile. Look at that.
Oh,
Looking
wow.
shooting
Look
star.
at
Oh, wow. That is
Nigel.
gorgeous.
Thank you to our observer, Nigel. Where do corrosive vials come from? This does not answer that question.
How do you get to the center of a corrosive bile?
Seriously. All right. Well, corrosive vials are going to continue to zone out here, but like you said, 11 gateways is a lot. If Trigger can continue to find trades here off of creep, and you're completely right, step past that creep tumor should not be allowed to stay there, because it offers Scarlett a launching pad where she can take these engagements a lot easier. The observer's now heading a little bit closer to it, so maybe Trigger can catch it. It's important.
It is very, very important. I have seen, by the way, Skilless win games with Maskling Stalker. Oh, that Stasis Ward expiring at just the wrong moment for Trigger.
No.
These Stalkers, oh no! Part of this is you need to retain almost all the Stalkers while you're doing this, continuing to trade. The army supplies are still very even, which does provide Trigger with some opportunities, but losing a lot of Stalkers right there does hurt for him a lot. And now Bane Speed and Banelings have completed. Scarlett doing a great job of retaining almost all of her Ravagers. Queen in the natural will get a kill on one of these Oracles. And I think Scarlett has kind of broken the momentum of this push.
Yeah, to some degree, I think she has. She has Aspire on the way as well, and maybe that'll be the final stockade, as she has 8 larvae to work with. Yeah, this doesn't look terrible, right? Like it looks like Trigger's kind of trading well, and there's not that many links left over. If it wasn't for that creep tumor is really pissing me off right now.
Yeah, it actually, oh my god, 15 probes just went down to a Bane run by. Scarlett's actually being forced to pull the drone, so +2 weapons is about complete. Trigger might still be doing it here. This is actually still very, very close. Now, losing all those probes does mean that he loses a lot of reinforcement potential. However, Scarlett doesn't have the highest quality army here.
Yeah, to me, there are some key points, key moments in this game that would make it so much easier for Trigger. And I think that looking back on it, he might regret moving forward onto a lot of these Ravagers. They're extremely expensive units, very exposed at this point. Great, I guess, just identifying the situation from Trigger, but now more links are out. He has to find a way to retreat.
Yeah, he does, and that creep tumor has been, oh my god. It's so weird to see a single creep tumor potentially win a game, but that is what has happened here.
Yeah, I think for me it's the creep tumor, and it is the fact that the Oracles could have been with this army the entire time, hovering over and preventing the links from being too effective, because the Stalkers can trade great against Roaches and Ravagers, especially against Roaches. Now we have Ravagers in greater numbers, and the Oracles over the Stalkers could easily neutralize the links, but instead they have just been, you know, messing about somewhere else doing, I don't know, I don't think they found much. This hatchery well fall, that's big.
Yeah, it is really big. That does kind of limit Scarlett's economy. She does have another base on the bottom side. That's 6 o'clock. Oh, the Bailey, the second one. Oh,
another one
going down.
Creep tumor gets taken down now, by the way. It's like, really?
Yeah, finally. Oh my god.
He doesn't care about this position anymore, so why are you even taking it down now?
Leave it up there as a symbol. Adrenal Gland's going to finish, by the way. Going to make these Zerglings so much more powerful. The counterattack going to pick off a ton of probes probably at that base. There must have been a... Nope, there it is. The probe's starting to fall. We're going to see this Stalker army getting pushed back, and I think finally we have hit that breaking point where Scarlett is... She's not going to let go of this game at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult to imagine a situation where Trigger manages to turn this around, as he is now behind in every regard. 44 workers to 70, and Scarlett is confident enough to go out of creep here to take this engagement. Like you said, she already had an extra base, so Trigger put in a lot of work to just get rid of that hatchery, and it's not gonna pay off really.
No, it certainly is not. Nice hold position right there. Those +2 melee Zerglings absolutely shred probes when you put the Adrenal Glands on them. 6, all of them going down. And in fact, the Stalker Warpin's not even going to be enough to really deal with that. It takes the rest of the army coming home, and now this is well past the point of no return. 28 workers to 70 drones. Trigger's gonna try one more time with these Blink Stalkers, and I don't blame him, because his Blink Stalker micro has almost won the day in this game regardless.
Yeah, Trigger has looked very composed throughout his series. It's the first time I see him on camera for this tournament. Do you think that he will lose his composure here? Because lag can be pretty frustrating, and I'm sure that he feels like he had a strong position because we saw it, right? Like we know that the creep tumor was there being annoying. I think he probably in retrospect can tell that the oracles would have been much better with the army here. And I mean, we are nearing the end.
Yeah, he spent all of his gas bank, or actually not even all of it, most of his gas bank, warping in sentries right there to try and get some miraculous force fields. The wall at the natural has been torn down. The entire probe line in the natural is going to go down. Scarlett, she's just got way too much. GG is